Well, hello there. It's me again. Hi. Forewarning, since there's usually, issues with me talking a lot and getting belchy, I just finished dinner and I am enjoying my once daily can of Coca-Cola, so it might get a little burpy in this episode, maybe not. Sorry in advance. So, I know I was supposed to upload a bonus episode this weekend, but first of all, I got busy, but second of all, I reached a point in reading Thomas Harris's third book in the Hannibal series, Hannibal, and it became impossible to put the bookmark in. I got to a point where that was it. I had to finish it right now. You guys, my family had to wait for their dinner. They had to wait. If I were a restaurant and they were Yelp reviewers, I would get the 3 1-star reviews that would, the type that says if I could leave 0 stars, I would. But I finished Hannibal, and oh, it's good. It's so good. Most of it. We'll get to that. So as I was reading it, I was wondering something. I was wondering, what is the time difference between when this was published for the previous one? So, Red Dragon, which is the first in the Hannibal series, was published in 1981. The Silence of the Lambs was published in 1988. Hannibal was not published until 1999. That's 11 years later. So I started wondering as I was reading this, because there were things about Thomas Harris's version of Hannibal Lecter, the one that exists only in the books, that was still there. But I was seeing things. I have to tell you, I think the Hannibal in this book was definitely influenced by the movies. I definitely think it was influenced by what the hell is Anthony Hopkins, because it was like he suddenly adopted the mannerisms of the man from The Silence of the Lambs. And I kind of like it. I kind of respect it, because I think when I did the last video on The Silence of the Lambs, I talked about how there were things about Hannibal Lecter in the book that I didn't love. And again, I mean, with this book, I've seen the movie Hannibal, which was put out in 2001. Liked it. I really liked it. So I'm tainted by a movie again. But like the little things about Hannibal that are crass, that are gross, that in the movies they made sure to make him look like he's above such things. He's above certain comments or certain thoughts. And that was in the books, and I very much want the character of Hannibal Lecter to be more mysterious. His way of thinking, his pathology is so high compared to us normal people that, we can't possibly comprehend it. I usually don't like that. Like, if I ever talk about like H.P. Lovecraft, one of my one of my big annoyances with H.P. Lovecraft is, when you see something and your mind can't comprehend it, so you just go crazy. I don't I don't like it so much in my cosmic horror. Please tell me what they saw. I get that it's scarier to say, ooh, but you don't know, it was so bad it broke his brain. I don't want to know the inner workings of Hannibal Lecter's mind. Like, I like the part, if you've seen the show Hannibal, you're familiar with the concept of the memory palace, which is very much talked about in Hannibal. It's talked about in Silence of the Lambs too. So I thought that was kind of neat. I think it's really neat that the show would pick up tidbits from the books that the movies didn't at first touch upon. So the show comes in and picks it. And that actually happens again with Hannibal. The show Hannibal took some things from the book that the movie didn't, include. I don't know. I really like it. I like that it has inserted itself into the Hannibal mythology by being kind of nitpicky. I'm talking about the show here. So Okay. We know with the movie, I hope you've seen the movie. I'm going to assume you have. If you haven't, it's a good movie. It really is. We know that the cast from The Silence of the Lambs, pretty much everybody but Anthony Hopkins and who was the other one? Frankie Faison. Um, Everybody else refused to take part in the movie Hannibal, and it was because of the ending of the book. If you've seen the movie Hannibal, that ending is perfect. That ending does not compromise Clarice Starling's integrity. It doesn't change her character and her entire belief system, and it doesn't debase the character of Hannibal Lecter. The one in the book does. It's a very disappointing ending. Now, usually, and I talk about this on the show when I talk about other books, endings are a sticking point for me. And this ending definitely flopped. I was very disappointed with it, but it didn't ruin the book for me. This book was so good. This book was so good. And I'm saying that even though there were a lot more insights into Hannibal Lecter's mind, we get things that scare him. We see him have like panic attacks. We get more of his thought process, what he thinks about certain things. We get more, something we get are like a typical guy response to being around a woman you're attracted to, which that doesn't fit with the Hannibal Lecter I know from watching my TV too much. Oh God, it doesn't play, it doesn't fit in with what he had already written. I liked the ambiguous nature of, they say it in the movie. I think Ray Liotta's character says it. His name's Paul Krendler. Oh, he's a son of a bitch in this book. It's amazing. But they're talking about Lecter's fascination with Starling. And he says, well, does he want to fuck her or kill her? And that's a thing. Like, does he? Is he sexually attracted to her? Or is he attracted to her as a predator? And there are moments like that in the book. Actually, right before the ending pretty much shits the bed, you're like, oh, he's going to kill her. Oh, he's completely intending to kill her. And the thing is, mild spoiler, I think he was. I think he was preparing to murder her. And she says something to him that makes him stop and rethink it. I'm trying to avoid spoilers here with the book, because this ending, it's really bad. It's not just, oh, I wish they could have done it. It's really bad. And actually, I completely understand why the cast from Silence of the Lambs wanted nothing to do with this book, with this movie. I'm glad that they changed it. I've got it up on my computer. I keep looking over to read. Ridley Scott directed it, and David Mamet and Steven Zalian, they did the screenplay. I'm like, David Mamet is awesome, and I'm so glad that they changed the ending, because they were able to maintain the integrity of the characters. They were able to not unravel them. Like, that's a ballsy move to unravel a character the way Thomas Harris does. It just didn't pay off. I'm usually pretty respectful of, a good ballsy decision. I didn't like it. But the rest of the book, you want to talk about suspense. You want to talk about building tension. And let's not forget the fact that Thomas Harris, he has such a talent for turn of phrase. I think I've mentioned this before, but I have this notebook that I got at a convention a few years ago. I was buying books from an author, and his publisher was giving these out as like advertisement. But I use it, I have so many notebooks, but I use so many notebooks. I use it for like when I'm reading something and a certain turn of phrase kind of grabs me. It's like, ooh, that's good. I write it down. I keep it, because boy, when you've got a talent with words, and being a writer and a lifelong reader, that's important to me. I can't tell you how many times I had to take out that notebook reading these Thomas Harris books. So good, so good. The saddest thing about this book, though, is Jack Crawford. You definitely know Jack Crawford from Red Dragon. His part is much bigger in Red Dragon, but he's still got a part in Silence of the Lambs. He's the one who kind of brings Starling into the fold of, the agents while she's still technically only in school. He is on a very sad decline in Hannibal. It's very sad, but there's something about the journey of a person aging out of something or winding down that's like it's a passage of time. There are certain books that do that I really love, like Anne Rice's The Witching Hour, where it follows many generations of a family, and you'll see the rise of one witch and then the fall, and with the fall comes another rise. And I really like that. I really like that trick in writing. And the fact that, Jack Crawford is essentially out, and he was the last real support for Starling, it aids in everything that goes wrong for her. He's not mentioned in the movie, I don't think. I don't think. I might be wrong, but I don't think. The main, architect of her downfall is Paul Krendler and Mason Verger. Boy, the descriptions of Mason Verger, they made him, if you can believe it, they made him a little more robust in the movie than he is in the book. And I believe they left his sister out of it completely. But in the show, we get a lot of his sister, Margot. Of course, they had to sexy her up, because what's the point of putting a woman on TV if she isn't gorgeous and thin and attractive to all men? That's not what Margot Verger is. She's different. She's interesting. She's a bad guy too, though. She's kind of a villain. And that's another thing I want to talk about real quick, is the number of villains in this book. Even if you're not on Hannibal Lecter's side, which you shouldn't be. I don't care how many, tidbits Harris put in this book to give you pity over the things that, Hannibal Lecter saw and experienced when he was a child. You should still not be on his side, because that guy's scary. That's what he should always just be, the scary guy. But then we get Mason Verger, we get Margot Verger, we get Paul Krendler, we get the Italian guys like Carlo, and we get even Cordell, Mason Verger's nurse, is a icky bad guy. There's so many of them. And, there's kind of a glorious moment where they all finally come together, and it's like a cat fight. You know how in old cartoons when people would get into a fight and it would be this cloud of dust, and every once in a while you'd see a head or a fist poke out? That's kind of what their showdown is like. And it's great. It's fantastic, magnificent planning. And the character of Starling, in the first parts of the book, it's amazing. She's been on the force for a long time. She has been purposefully held back and kept down by Paul Krendler her entire career, and she's very bitter. This has weighed on her. She was in Silence of the Lambs, if you haven't read it, she's a very no nonsense, very businesslike, formal person. And she still is in this, but she's also, there's a kind of not a meanness, but it's bitter. I said before, she's very bitter, and she's very disillusioned, and she knows that her career is coming to an end, and there's a sense of to hell with it coming from her with the whole thing, where she's just sick of it at this point. And it's really captivating watching that, because you don't always need the hero, again, this is a human experience. This is a human response. and I really liked it. But God, the ending, it's bad, you guys. If you read it, obviously get in touch, tell me what you thought. But I'm reading about it. Before I started this, I was reading up on it. I'm not alone in being kind of horrified by this ending, because no, ballsy move again, but no. So I'm reading Hannibal Rising right now. I'm about a quarter of a way through it, and I don't think I have any input yet. There's a lot of stuff alluded to in Hannibal that I'm reading about in a little more detail in Hannibal Rising. This is a movie I haven't seen. I haven't seen Hannibal Rising. My husband saw it and said it was terrible. And my husband is the type of person that if he says it's bad, it's usually complete and total garbage. So I'm not in a hurry to watch it. I'm coming into that book with very, very low expectations. I'm not expecting much, because I'm not really excited to read about the beginnings of Hannibal Lecter. I was excited to read about, him going back out into the world. When the book starts, Hannibal, he's in Italy and he's working for academics and he's enjoying it. That I liked. Where it would talk about the books that he planned to read, the music that he played, all the things in Italy that he was enjoying. And it was more simple, where it was more immediate, where we weren't getting into memories, or we weren't really getting into the pathos of how his mind works, or how he reacts to things, or the way he really looks at people, which I don't like. I didn't like that, because I quite liked the idea of him either having his nose in the air and not considering people at all, or considering them just enough to plan what side dishes to go with them, So I don't know. I don't like those deep dives into someone like that. He's scarier as a mystery, and I don't want him to be a sympathetic character. So I'm actually not excited about reading Hannibal Rising, but it came as a set. I have it, and so I'm going to read it, and I'll let you know if I think it's a dumpster fire. I probably won't devote a whole video to it. It'll just be a little post. But Hannibal's a good book. It's a great book. And I'm saying that even with the absolute horrible ending, it's a good book. I enjoyed it, and, I got to a point where I could not be bothered to put it down. I have to finish it. I have to know where this is going. And it was worth just about every second. So, talk to me. What did you see the movie? Did you like it? I remember when it came out, again, 2001. There were so many people horrified that somebody stepped in and took the character of Clarice Starling away from Jodie Foster, but I thought Julianne Moore did a good job. She did a really good job being that kind of bitter, jaded, older version of Clarice Starling. And that's very close to how she is in the book. And we still had Anthony Hopkins. Anthony Hopkins was fantastic in it. I thought the whole scene in Florence with him and that cop in Florence was so good. And it's even better in the book. It really is. So if you've seen the movie, did you like it? Were you horrified that someone dared take the part from Jodie Foster? I wasn't. I thought she did good. Have you read the book? I think you should. If you've seen the movie and you liked it even a little bit, definitely read the book. This is one of the most violent, gory books I've ever read outside of the horror genre. I don't know that you would make this is a thriller, I would think. But it's a violent book, and I mean, I've read some stuff, and it's so good, and his writing is so good, and just the words that he chooses, they're so good. The entire reading experience is so good. Please read it, and please watch the movie. Stay tuned for Hannibal Rising. Again, no expectations. got the thingy. So I hope you're well. I hope the world is being kind to you. And please take care of yourselves, and thank you. Thank you for being here. Okay. Nope. Nope.